I'm Sandy Schnatz. I'm the principal, and then we have our new assistant principal, and this is?
I'm Suzanne Smith.
So first year starting.
Thank you.
It's good to be here today.
Happening out there?
Oh, all kinds of things. We're just busy, busy, busy. But some of the wonderful things that we've had so far, we got to be distinguished again. You know, you always cross your fingers and hope for the second year in a row. So very proud of that. Also, we increased, last year our ranking was 86, and we've moved up to 93 this year as far as the state rankings. And then Terry Brown also shows us where we rank in the Northern Kentucky area, and we ranked 13th out of 52 in Northern Kentucky elementary schools, so we thought that was something to be very proud about. So a lot of good things happening there. And then moving on, just what we thought positively impacted student learning as reflected. First, our third, fourth, and fifth grade students, they started out with a combined score of 72% for proficient and distinguished. We still would like to keep increasing that to 75 this upcoming school year. Some of the things we're continuing but have implemented is reading stamina. We just know that students need to read for a longer period of time. We do know that the test does take an extraordinary amount of time, and students need to be able to read for those long passages, because if we've never exposed students to reading this passage, turn the page, then there's more, and then turn the page. So that has really helped us, I think, as well. Also, some of the things that we've done is really work on our assessments, extended responses for writing. We went to the district-wide writing training that we had on how to write an effective paragraph. That goes all the way down to primary as well as intermediate, and I think we need to start in a lot lower grades in our primary. So we think that's also having a positive impact. We've had several live scoring sessions. We're moving that now down to second grade, and we're doing that now in all content areas, not just reading and math, and we did that a lot last year as well. So one of the big things we really look at is continuing to analyze MAP data from fall to spring scores to see if reading scores increase, and we use those results to make decisions instructionally. We did see a lot of comparisons. So what we did was we put an Excel spreadsheet together, and we put the maps side by side to see are students making those gains or not, and they do. So we do look at that, and then what did you do, and ask teachers those important questions. Well, what did you do to make sure that student increased in that? And if they didn't, which we hope is very minimal, what do we do, or what do we need to do to increase that as well? So we are continuing to goal set with all students. Every teacher does that individually with a child based on their map, so that they're increasing the performance on the next time we take that. And we're excited to see where that's going to happen in December, which is about to start here in a couple weeks. All right, in 2014, what do we do that's going to positively impact student learning? On our on-demand writing results, we were at 55.7 of our fifth grade students that were proficient and distinguished in writing. We would like to increase that to 60 this upcoming school year. This past summer, we said that there was a need because there is such a correlation with reading and writing. So we did a lot of research, and we thought that the Lucy Calkins resources were well, and also the Common Core writing book. And so we had teachers attend a 6-hour training individually by grade level. Dorothy Denny from the district helped us look at all those materials, and she presented to our staff. They thought that was very beneficial because it was geared to their grade level. They got to dive deep into the materials. They had time to work and process everything, and then the last couple hours of the day they got to look at their timelines and see how they were going to implement that. So we've been monitoring that already to see how that's going. Some other things is using past MEP data to compare the K-Prep scores for our 4th and 5th grade students. So Ms. Smith and I went down and did an Excel spreadsheet. We put the spring map from last year, the fall map from this year, and also their K-Prep scores to see did it mimic the same thing or not, or are they really different? So we actually designed it to see is a student novice, apprentice, proficient, or distinguished in maps, so you can calculate those as well. And pretty much they mimic very well. The only thing that we would need to do is make sure, and that's why we implemented the writing, because there wouldn't be an extended response on the map test. So if a student scored, say, proficient on the reading part in map, then they pretty much scored proficient or distinguished on the K-Prep. So we saw a lot of correlation with that. If we didn't, then we just had questions that we needed to ask, but very few students did not. They either met and they were very correlated together. Also, we purchased additional Scholastic Do the Math program because that's an area we also would like to increase as well. We had one kit to begin with, and everybody, of course, when you have something new and you can do something response to instruction, everybody wants to have access to that. So, of course, there's not enough materials to go around, so we were able to purchase a different one so we can do that across grade levels. And then another thing that we did that we really want to improve on is our gap group and focusing on individual student needs in the areas of reading and math. So we've tried to really identify those students to see what can we do and what is their basic educational need for that. And another area we've really started to analyze and look at is their growth data. We're doing the same thing of students who made typical growth and also how to support those students. So over the last couple of days, we actually kept back the 5th grade and 4th grade K-Prep. They send home a report to the parents, but we also have one we put in their CUME folder, and so it has a bar graph on there. But I think many times we send those home and kids don't understand what that thing means. So Suzanne and I sat down with every student, and we've done that the last couple of days with 5th grade, and showed them this is your score, and then we asked them, well, how far were you away from being distinguished? So we told them, and so a kid maybe for 208. They go, I'm at 208, and I said, well, what did it take to be distinguished? And they go 210. And they go, oh, I was only 2 points away. So when kids really realize that, so we really think that that's going to be beneficial to do that as well. And so they really didn't understand that they're compared to other kids in their class, other kids in the state, other kids in the district. So we went over all that. And then on the back of the report is their growth. And so we talked a little bit about, you know, what it is to be typical growth and how they got there. And a couple of kids, which was shocking to us because we didn't, you know, we're thinking, well, how come this kid didn't make growth or typical growth? And some kids didn't finish. So they may have been proficient in reading, but they may not have made the growth. And some kids were honest and say, well, I know I didn't finish that part. So those are things. No, they do not. So those are things we need to look at. Are we doing enough time test with students, you know, so they can practice that and mimic that? Because in the map, they get as long as they want. So. So we want to make sure that we're also giving that same kind of scenario with a K-Prep as well. So that was a little eye-opening for the last couple of days, just to throw that in there as well. All right. I already said we're going to continue to analyze map and common assessments as well. All teachers turn in their common assessments with their analyzer, and we really look and ask them questions and meet with them. You know, what was with this question that we need to reteach, and then see how they did on their extended responses with those. The administrative team, we already talked about that, are talking with the students about their goals for the year. And then also utilizing the professional development that was offered from the central office staff. So we've been really trying to utilize them as well, and it's been very beneficial. All right, and what we're going to do this year to keep it going. All right, on-demand results as well. We would like to continue to do that as well. Just to make sure that we can continue to use and develop more literacy design collaborative models. We've now moved down to 3rd grade. I think that they are very beneficial, which stands for, you know, the LDC as well. We need to make sure, and we're monitoring, are we intentionally teaching the writing at each grade level now that we had the summer training? Because just because you have training, are you really intentionally teaching that? So we're doing that through our learning walks as well. Live scoring, making sure that continues in all content areas to increase writing, so extended responses are distinguished to make sure kids are putting in enough information in their answers. And then response to instruction daily to meet the needs of all students every single day. So those are some of the things we're going to work on. And in the area of reading, we're going to build reading skills such as supporting answers from the text and vocabulary, and also revising our literacy model, because now that we've kind of used a lot of the daily 5 and that's expanding, we really looked at our literacy model and does that fit our needs now? So we're going to get a committee together, kind of look at that. So every grade level is now submitting how are they teaching literacy, what does that look like, and we might need to revise that. And then we thought about, well, if we're looking at literacy, maybe we need to look at our math model as well. So we're going to have a committee to look at both of those to see if that's something that we need to tweak to make sure that we're fixing that as well. So our program review from last year, we were a needs improvement. We were only 2/10 away of being proficient. So what we did was we designed our committees after school based on the program review so that teachers had buy-in. There's a lot of teachers that didn't know a lot about the program review because you had little subcommittees here and there. So now every teacher serves on a program review committee so that they all can bring that back to their grade level so that everybody has buy-in of what we need to put in there so that we're always a solid proficient on our program reviews as well. So we're working on that. Our kindergarten readiness is still great with our Bergantz results. We had 75% of our students were ready or ready with enrichments in kindergarten this year. So we're hoping that that continues to grow. Our combined proficiency score, we missed it. Our goal was 71, and we were 70.8, so we're hoping that we go above that as well. We would like to continue to increase our students with disabilities, to increase that. And then our third grade proficiency, we met our goal with that in third grade, so they reached their proficiency in both reading and math. So we were able to strive as well for those. And then our wellness goal, we also established a committee to make sure, and that's in the area of practical living under our program review, that all committee members basically are aware of our wellness and how can we contribute to that to not only make us happy but all the students. So a lot of students now in the middle of the day, which I think is very helpful, there is an app or something that you can put on the smart board, and maybe other schools use it. It's called Go Noodle. So have you seen them? They're like little aerobic things that you would do to kind of get them up moving around. So we do that, and they last about 3 minutes. It's just enough that they bring that on, get the kids up and moving, and then they sit back down and they're ready to learn. So we've been trying to do that, little breaks throughout the day, because sometimes we need more breaks than we allow students. So you have to come out and watch it. So at recess, though, it's really funny because we've had to have a couple indoor recess days. And so since we're broken up in pods, it's funny what certain kids like to do. And so I happened to be in the 5th grade pod when they had recess, since we were talking with kids. And it was amazing how many boys wanted to do that. That was part of their recess, because it actually shows them how to do the little moves and the dance, and they're it's upgraded. And so they mimic them. Yeah, oh yeah, and of course there are men on there. So they're, they're little rapper guys that do these, kid songs, and those boys are up there just moving up a storm. And so I think it's, and of course I'm giggling myself, but I'm glad that they're doing it, because it's making them focus and hopefully doing well. So, do you all have any questions for us?
We looked 75% of kindergarten readiness.
Mm-hmm. It is. It did drop down, and they did say that they did see a number. We were at 80% last year, and so this year we're at 75, which is a good number. Always relied on Ellen to find out, compare if that's really good. I mean, we never like to drop, but I know you never know what kind of students are coming. Yeah, because every class is different, but that's still a very good number. And so hopefully we'll get that 24% up ready to go before they get to 1st grade. So that's what we would like to do. So
now, do you like the pods?
At first, when I went in there, it was overwhelming to do that, because, I can be very distracted in my own way. So I am used to it now. I mean, as far as doing a walk, you just turn your chair around when you're doing the instructional model. So you just turn your chair. So when I have members from central office come and walk with me, I just say, take your chair and sit in the center, and then we'll just turn around, and you can get 4 in about less than an hour. So. But, a lot of parents do question that. We have a lot of people that like to come in for tours and things to see what it is, and it does overwhelm them when they come and see that. But children are very close with each other, so it's not like they have a group of 25. So like, for 5th grade, for example, all 100 students know each other. And they're all, of course they switch classes, yes, and then they're within each other. So I think that no matter what middle school they go to, they know everybody in that grade level, if that makes sense.
How many have?
We have 650 now.
Shauna Harney, the principal at River Ridge.
I'm Jenna Smitty. I'm one of the 2 assistant principals at River Ridge.
Mrs. Allen, our other assistant, is back in the building.
Good. Welcome. Go ahead.
We want to start off by thanking each of you for the role you play in serving our students in schools. We appreciate all of your work, and we'll get right to our points of pride. We had an overall increase from 70.4 to a 75, and that increased our percentile ranking from 77th to 89th. We was very pleased with that. We were 1/10 of a point away from being classified as distinguished. So that next bullet, we are proficient and progressing. Very proud, but just that 1/10 was a little bittersweet. Another point of pride, our percentages of students scoring proficient and distinguished are above the state averages in reading, math, science, and social studies. So what did we implement last year that we felt like reflected in our student achievement results? Our overall increase in achievement was an 82.8 to an 86, and growth from a 60.7 to a 63.5. The bullets listed there, we developed more of a consistent approach with our instructional practices in language and vocabulary, had a lot of job-embedded professional development, bringing a lot of the district consultants in, and providing some resources with the second bullet there. The use of Right Steps was a program that we implemented last year as a result of and after the district training. So some of those strategies there with 1.4, 2.6 paragraph strategies, that resource lent itself well to applying those strategies in writing instruction. Our LDC work in 4th and 5th grade, that's another great district initiative that we love, and that's coming down to 3rd grade this year, so we're very pleased with that, and we hear such good feedback from our students and teachers with those modules. An intentional focus and expectation with Tier 1 differentiation during core reading and math. That's an ongoing support area that we have to provide for teachers and students, and just making sure that we're differentiating and using the data to provide a needs-based instruction atmosphere. Something that we constantly revisit and have conversations about and do reteaching on, just the fidelity of power strategies that we've identified that yield results. We know some of these power strategies are very effective, and just making sure that we're retraining new staff members, that we're providing reteaching when we see areas of need. So some of those areas are just aligning our standard with our learner target, the actual learning experience, the formative assessment. Live scoring is a big strategy that we expect to see in classrooms on a regular basis. Use of flashbacks, how we administer the district common assessments, and what we do with the results from the district common assessments. The use of wrong answer analysis, and just providing good models for students to see, for them to see what that quality work looks like. Targeted instruction, goal setting, triangulating data. Some of the sources of data there, you can see MAP, DIBELS, SRI, SBI, just our ongoing formative assessments. So MAP has just really been a great tool for us that serves as a resource for a lot of data. We can really dig down, and that tells us a lot about our students. Moving over to the next page, our RTI structure. That is an area that we continue to refine each year. Monitoring of that direct instruction and letting that time be a time for a well-balanced diet, so to speak, to experience all of the programs that we are fortunate to have. Some of those programs are Compass Learning, Fast Math, Read Naturally, Accelerated Reader, MAP website. So we have a lot of programs, but it's helping our staff members understand how to best utilize those programs, because you can't use them all. So it's who needs what the most, kind of a triage situation. Our SBDM constructed response attack plan, after reviewing data and talking to teachers, a reflection was made that we need to be more consistent with how we implement that. So it's again kind of practicing what students are going to be in a situation during K-Prep, as Sandy mentioned, that time factor, and just ensuring that we're all consistent in following those steps and teaching students how to attack a constructed response question. Stamina is also another area that we recognize that we need to increase student stamina when it comes to the length of passages, as well as just the time issue. So making sure that our students are experiencing that lengthy passage in a timed situation, and that they're comfortable with that. And the more we practice with that, the more comfortable they are in the spring. We started a different way to goal set with MAP. We were goal setting with percentiles as opposed to the RIT scores. Coupled with our instructional changes and this goal setting change, we were hoping to see students grow. And sometimes students were growing with their RIT, but because that norm changes each benchmark time, they were not necessarily growing with their percentile ranking. Our gap was an overall increase from 51 to 54. And again, some of these you will see very similar to what I've already mentioned, but RTI, I've mentioned that again, how that impacts our gap. Another program that is specifically used for our gap is Lexia, and that's a program that was purchased for students who are EL, and the district purchased that, and we see a lot of great results for that population. We had a different approach with our program reviews, provided more of an overall understanding for our staff members with the rubrics and also how we collect evidence for each program review. Our students who receive accommodations through an IEP or a PSP or a 504, we really worked hard with them having more ownership of their accommodations and understanding the role they play in asking for those accommodations and practicing that consistently throughout the year. Each student had a laminated card that explained the accommodations they received, and so we wanted that to help empower them and internalize just understanding their accommodations, but also verbalizing that to an adult to receive those accommodations. We also went as far as any manipulatives that those students were receiving, that we practiced the same way in terms of how they were stored in the classroom during the year. So for example, if they were kept in a Ziploc bag during the year, we just wanted to make sure that we were really doing everything the same so that during that week of K-Prep testing, we weren't throwing something else additional to them and it wasn't a new, well, this isn't how these manipulatives were stored all year. So just consistency. We also had the accommodator and the student meet before testing. We've always done that, but during that meeting last year, we had the students explain their accommodation card that they had with them all year. And again, the goal there was that it empowered the students and they really internalized that and they were able to verbalize that to their accommodator. The constructed response attack plan was also something that we specifically talked about with teachers and teachers who work with students in our GAP group. Stamina, again, was mentioned. We have a database that we created last year. We kind of took a different twist with this that we used during our RTI process. The data sheet includes 4 rounds of maps. So we look at the spring from the year before, and then we start with the fall, the winter, and the spring of the current year. But we're also including all of the other sources of data that we have so that we really can keep that big picture in mind when we're making decisions. We're still finding that our teachers are wanting to make decisions based on the most recent data point as opposed to looking at that historical data and triangulating that. So kind of modeling that for them and just keeping that up on the screen when we're making decisions for interventions or for core tier 1 and changes. We also added 2 research-based math interventions, Do the Math and Dreambox. And then flipping to the next page, what did we implement this year that we feel like is impacting student learning? The first bullet is, it sounds pretty simple, but it's probably the most important bullet on here, we feel, is that constantly stressing and reteaching and having conversations about all of the strategies that I've just talked about are staying fresh and consistent and with fidelity. Sometimes if writing, for example, is an area of concern or area of growth for us, is a topic of conversation right now, we notice that sometimes the other strategies and areas that we've already recognized are strong strategies, they sometimes dwindle. So it's trying to keep all of those plates spinning, that we can't drop one to start focusing on the other. So just really stressing that all of the strategies we've already talked about are in place and they're implemented consistently with fidelity. We have purchased another resource in the area of writing, the Shirley Grammar resource, for all grade levels to be implemented weekly during writing instruction. And we expect that the use of this consistent resource will help support the standards, but will also lead to improved writing instruction and writing achievement. We've already worked with our consultants this year on some job-embedded professional development for teachers in the area of writing. The district purchased a writing resource for all teachers in the district. Our teachers already have that in our hands. The consultants were out, went through that with them. So again, that's serving as another additional resource to support that area. So our percentage of proficient and distinguished students in writing is 36.6. That certainly is an area of growth for us. We need to increase the level of intentional writing plans, protected time in our schedule to make sure that writing is occurring, the quality of the instruction, and the amount of actual on-demand writing prompts that we're doing. We need to increase also how much we're writing in all content areas. Our overall accountability is 75, and we are 89th in the state, but it's certainly a goal of ours to be distinguished. So we need to continue to provide reteaching for our teachers in the area of RTI and triangulating data. That really has stood out to us as an aha, that RTI has evolved from where it originated, and things have changed somewhat in terms of programs that we have and structures that we have, and we need to provide some RTI for our teachers in the area of RTI. We also need to just, at the top of that next page, we need to make sure that we're continuing to implement the power strategies and keep all of those plates spinning, which is a great balance act. Our CSIP goals, program reviews, we met our first one in practical living. We did meet the second one in writing, which said a lot to us because we met that as a program review, but our achievement scores were not anywhere where they need to be. So that certainly has started a lot of conversations and reflections. We did not meet our goal in arts and humanities. For K-Prep combined proficiency, we did not meet, but we saw an increase. So we were at a 58.8 and we went to a 62.2. So we didn't meet the delivery target, but we did see an increase. Our achievement gap in special ed, we went from a 23.2 in reading to a 21.8, so we did take a dip. In math, we went from a 16.1 to a 23.6, so a pretty significant increase in math. In our EL gap group, we did not meet the delivery target, but we saw a significant increase. We went from 23.7 to 34.6 in the area of reading with our EL group. Kindergarten readiness, we did meet it. K-Prep third grade proficiency, we did not meet either one of these, and we really were not too surprised by this because we were not showing growth in MAP throughout the year in third grade. And despite conversations and plans and interventions, we didn't see the gains that we wanted to see on K-Prep either. That was a great conversation to remind teachers that MAP is really correlated to K-Prep, and we need to use this data and actually make some implementations. Wellness plan on the back. We have a subcommittee that was formed last year to review our district and school policy. We're in the process of revising our SBDM wellness policy with input from that committee. So we feel strongly that all of our staff members are definitely aware of those policies and how we want to expand that.
Okay. I'm Kathy Saunders. I'm the principal at Beechgrove.
And I'm Heather Rave. I'm the assistant principal.
And we're just really happy to be here today and really happy to present how well our school did this year. We really have a lot to be proud of. If you remember last year, we came to you as a needs improvement school, and this year we're coming to you as a distinguished school. So we're very proud of that, distinguished, progressing, and high performing. And so our score this year, we were in the 93rd percentile. Last year we were only in the 51st percentile. So we really saw a lot of gain this year. Our staff and our students worked so hard, and we're so proud of our students and the growth that they've made and just how well they've done. They worked really hard. If you look at the points of pride down there, the program review was a major emphasis for our school, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but we received 100 on that, and we were really proud of our program reviews. And then as far as our growth and our gap, our growth was something that we needed to really work on last year. That was an area of concern for us, so that was something we really pushed this year, and our growth really improved. 62% of our students made typical or higher growth in reading, and 72.7% of our students made typical or higher growth in math. And so we were very pleased with the growth. And as far as in math, the unduplicated gap group, there was 62.5% of those students who were proficient or distinguished, and 57% were proficient or distinguished in our non-duplicated gap group in our reading. So those are areas that we're really pleased with. So if you look, some of the things that we've done, and I kind of skipped around on you just a little bit on that. So, last year our focus was really being a team, and we really worked hard at teamwork and at everybody working together and having the same mission in mind. And we all wanted the success for our students, and we all really pushed. We worked hard at data analysis. I really appreciate you all having the MAP testing that we have for our students 3 times a year, because we use that data a lot. That's one data point that we use, but we use it a whole lot. So, do you want me to keep going? Okay. So, just We continue to work to break down the barriers at our school. Our FRC, as you know, has always been a strong area, and that's something that we've worked together, and that's part of our teamwork also with all of the different programs, and just all of our teachers are involved with doing those kinds of things too. So if you look, 65.2% of our students scored proficient or distinguished in reading and math, which was an increase from 56% in 2013. And really, our PLCs and our teaching teams, we were constantly looking at instruction and looking at the quality of instruction. We believe very strongly that the core instruction has to be very strong and rigorous. So we wanted to make sure of that. We really intentionally planned questioning with our teachers, and that was something that we worked on in our PLCs, and really worked on questioning techniques and how to question to make sure that we were meeting the standards and then really holding our students accountable. And one of the things that we did is we also had the Northern Kentucky Co-op come in, and they worked with us to do somewhat of an instructional audit, and we wanted them to give us feedback, and our students are very compliant. But we wanted them to be more engaged, and we really wanted to look at our learning targets and make sure that the learning targets were really broken down and the students knew where they were, where they needed to achieve. And so that's something else that we did. Several other people have also talked about live scoring, which we do with our students, and just the wrong answer analysis and always holding them accountable. I feel like that the teachers are becoming much stronger at analyzing the data and then really using that data for their instruction every day. So that's been very strong. Our RTI blocks last year, we stressed a whole lot on looking at every minute and making every minute count in instruction, but especially in our RTI blocks, we wanted to extend the education for those that needed the extension in addition to remediating the ones that needed remediation. And so we really looked at planning for those and made sure that our planning was very intentional and making sure that we were doing things for all different levels of students. 34.6% of our students with a disability were proficient in reading and math, which was an increase of 20% from 2013. So that was a big advantage, and I really feel like that our special ed teachers and our regular ed teachers worked really hard together. We really made sure that our students that were in special education did a whole lot more with the core instruction. We still did the interventions that we typically have done with Read 180 and System 44 and those, but we also made sure that we did some co-teaching in the core instruction, and then we looked at the rigor of the reading that we were doing and making sure that we were increasing the rigor in all of our reading, and really worked with students with different passages that were longer and that took more with the rigor. So, and then I told you just a few minutes ago about our program review. Our whole school worked on improving our knowledge of program reviews in all areas, and then we made committees where that had a representative from every grade level, and they all were the people who went back to their grade levels and led that team in gathering data. We've always done a lot of things for each of the program reviews, but we needed to gather the data and be more consistent in presenting that. And that's what we did as far as making sure that we had the evidence to back up what we were doing. Because you can do it, but if you don't have the evidence, then nobody knows you're doing it. So Ms. Rabe's going to talk just a little bit about what we've started in 2014.
Okay, I'm very happy to be a part of Beechgrove. It really is a team environment, and the teachers work so well together, so it's a wonderful place to be. To positively impact students in 2014, we received the Read to Achieve grant. At the beginning, at the beginning of this year, we implemented those resources that had been approved through the grant. A certified reading specialist was hired to implement the early interventions in reading, and this services K through 2nd grade. Reading groups are limited to 5 students, so it's small reading groups and more individual and immediate feedback to the students. And the early intervention, the teachers, and we're seeing through data that it's really getting those struggling readers sooner, and so they're learning those fundamental skills before they get into the higher grades. So it's been a real success so far this year. Also, to increase rigor in our core reading instruction, we purchased a series. This series has provided the teachers with high-level thinking, question techniques, and the text-dependent question as well as inference-type questioning. And this rich text covers a variety of genres and gradually increases in the length to help with that stamina for the K-Prep testing. So those 2 reading resources have really helped us this year.
That resource is just one resource that they use. They use all kinds of different resources in reading to help the students. So, but it has really increased the rigor that they've done in 3rd and 4th grade. And then we're just continuing with building the capacity of our teachers and helping them with being skilled leaders, because I feel like that's the biggest thing, is to make sure that our teachers are given what they need as far as resources, and then they're given the ability to lead others, because that's so important. So they've had professional development in all kinds of different things, and especially this year with our science and our SynSam being part of that, and also looking with the LDCs and doing those kinds of leadership opportunities. Now, what we need to do in the coming years, this year, and is continuing to look at our writing. And I've heard several different schools talk about writing, and that is a strong focus that we have too. And we need to continue just building the children's capacity for writing across content areas, writing all the time. And that's where we're going, is looking at that. And working with Dorothy and the other coaches within the district has really helped us to build some strength in our writing. We've already, and last year we developed a program, or like what age grade level, the expectation, and so I think we just need to continue to focus on that and then just make it more rigorous. We are doing the principal prompts monthly, and the children actually did one today that was about Thanksgiving and having a turkey that didn't want to get eaten, and what that turkey, how they can convince others not to eat them. And so it was interesting, just their motivation to write about things like that. And the whole school wrote about it, so it'll be interesting to get those prompts back to see exactly what they say. So we're going to be working on that. And even though our proficiency in special education increased, we want to continue to increase it. And we want those students with IEPs to become more proficient and distinguished in math and in reading. And so we also have done a lot with helping them to know what accommodations that they have and to meet their accommodators earlier. And we did a lot of data review with our special education teachers last year to see where the students were and where that they needed to go. And just holding the students accountable and making sure that they know they can. And that's something that we talked about last year, and just having that high expectation that everyone can achieve at high levels. This year also we've applied for the Math to Achieve grant, and so hopefully that's going to help us with our primary grades. If you look at our CSIP, then you can tell that on our program reviews we met those goals and we're able to meet all of those and exceed those. As far as kindergarten readiness, that is something that did decrease this year coming in from the Brigant's results. So our teachers are working hard to make sure that students are achieving in kindergarten and really getting ready for first grade, because we came in with only 35% of our students who were ready or ready with enrichments for that. As far as our K-Prep combined proficiency, we were very close. Our goal was to achieve at 66.2, and we were at 65. So we were very close to that one. And then on our achievement gaps, we did not meet those, but we did improve over what we had done last year. So, and then if you look at the K-Prep third grade proficiency, we did meet both of those actually very, very well. We were able to meet those very well. And we also have a subcommittee who's working on our wellness policy and our wellness goal.
Thank you. We're very happy to be here today. And I'm Mary Beth Huss. I'm the principal at Kenton Elementary School. And some of you may have met Mindy Coleman, but Mindy has joined us this year as an assistant principal, and we're really glad to have her on board. So we're just very happy to be here to present the progress of Kenton Elementary and discuss our programs and strategies that we're diligently working hard on every single day. We have 3 points of pride that we would like to bring to your attention from the 13-14 school year. Within our state accountability model, Kenton Elementary made improvements in all 4 areas: achievement, growth, gap, and program review. And these improvements placed us as a school classified by the state as proficient progressing with the rewards category of high progress school. We also surpassed our annual measurable objective by 6.9 points and improved our total overall score by 10.2 points. So we're very proud of our staff and of our students, and so we're just very excited about the work that we're doing there and progressing and continuing to improve. 2 areas of focus for us for the 13-14 school year that we worked very diligently on to positively impact student performance were the areas of writing and math. And so just this past year, we saw 23.1, almost 1/4 of our population, move into proficient and distinguished in the area of writing. This is even after last year when we over doubled our writing scores. So I'm happy to report that our writing achievement score is at 82.1. This is coming from a 31.5 in 2012. So that's 2 years' time. We've made very intentional improvements, and we have seen the gains because of that. We continue with our school-wide expectations of producing monthly writing pieces at all grade levels. We conduct writing continuum reviews where teachers have to give feedback on each other's student samples. Our student writing is displayed in our hallway, so I invite all of you to stop by anytime, and if you'd like to read some of our student writing samples, they're displayed there for you. A key to our success in writing is the 6 additional practices that we do with On Demand every year in our intermediate grades, and we practice both standalone and passage-based prompts, and we do those in a very K-Prep timed format. I personally believe we were able to move so many students into proficient and distinguished because of the implementation of the 3.8 body paragraph writing process, and that helped our students add a lot of details to their writing and beef up the content of their pieces. So as mentioned, math was also a focus area for Kenton Elementary during the 13-14 school year. We received a 12-point gain for our total calculation in math. We integrated that writing into our math and really used writing cross-curricularly, and we believe that's why we saw a gain in math. We have a set model that we use, and this is nothing new. I think we borrowed this from another one of the schools in the district, but students are expected to show, explain, and tell about their math problems. So they show the work, they tell the answer, but the most important key part is the explanation. They must not just list steps of what they did to answer the problem, but they have to tell why and how they got that answer and really support with writing the explanation. Last school year, we revised our math model. We have always had a very solid math model at Kenton Elementary, but it did need to be updated. We now include 2 times a week fluency drills and 3 times a week number talks. And our students and our teachers have really embraced the number talks program. It's going very well. We have a very specific pacing guide for math. And we provide the students with many, many multiple opportunities within that 60 minutes of core instruction taking place every day for them to be able to practice. It's all about their practice. I want them engaged as much as possible. So we do have 60 minutes of core math and then 30 minutes daily of RTI math instruction. We spend the first half of the year with that RTI instruction focusing on the number operation standards because we believe the students need a good solid foundation to be able then to go on and work with measurement and to be able to work with some of the other strands in math, the algebraic thinking and so forth. So we also implement the Do the Math program for our students who, according to their math MAP scores, need that additional support. We utilize our MAP day cards to help plan for RTI instruction, and we do spend a lot of time analyzing those MAP scores and pay particular attention to those students not showing a lot of growth. So to begin the 14-15 school year at Kenton, we believe in getting started right away. I always hold a July meeting with my staff to frame out the school year, and we talk about RTI, we talk about Prep and Prep Plus students, MAP data, student self-monitoring and tracking, goal setting. That has been a big piece of what we do at Kenton Elementary. Program review, writing, we set up the entire school year. And I didn't want the staff to take on a lot of new initiatives at the beginning of this school year. I really wanted this to be a year of refining. I felt like last year I brought a lot of new programs on for them. So this has been a year of refinement. And however, though, we did feel like our program review needed some more restructuring. So even though we made a 14.2 point gain, our program review was still considered needs improvement. So therefore, when Mrs. Coleman came on board, we began to discuss about ways to make changes to our program review. Teachers felt like they didn't have enough knowledge of the rubrics, so we brought Debbie Brown and Dorothy Deany in at the beginning of the school year to do some training with those rubrics. Mrs. Coleman met with some of the other assistant principals in the district and brought back ideas. And so through our research and our restructuring, we decided that we would involve more staff members on our program review committees. We created a schedule as well for when program review pieces would be due, and those are turned into Mrs. Coleman monthly. We are focusing on curriculum instruction and summative and formative assessment domains, and within those domains we look at a demonstrator per month, so we really study that demonstrator. Each grade level is accountable for producing samples for those indicators within the domains, and those are expected to be at the distinguished level. That is our goal. We set very high expectations, and so we're working to be distinguished in all areas in our program review. It is a weekly topic at our PLC meetings, so we work very hard on this. We continued also with our focus on student self-monitoring and tracking. As I said, that's important to us. All students have a goal-setting folder. They goal set to track their own learning and progress for MAP, K-Prep, common assessments, and this year, reading counts. We added that piece. We've always had reading counts, but we updated our program, and we've placed more emphasis on that. It blends very well with our Daily 5 reading program that we're using in the primary grades and also for the intermediate students who are in Read 180 and System 44. And so now we say goals per month, per grade level. The students are really excited and motivated by this, and so we are firm believers in the students monitoring and tracking their own learning so that they can, so they'll achieve at higher levels overall. We also added department chairs this year to our PLC meetings to make a positive impact on student learning. So at the beginning of the school year, Dr. Cox-Crewy talked with all of the leaders in the district about taking a more vertically aligned perspective on our leadership styles. And I truly believe that teachers should be teacher leaders within the building. And I wanted to give the teachers more of an opportunity to take on leadership roles. So therefore, I implemented the same type of structure that the high school schools have to lead their PLC meetings. So the department chairpersons are expected to have agendas, produce minutes, discuss program review, and most importantly, keep the meetings focused on the standards. So we're looking at instruction, we're looking at assessment, and we're looking at students who are and are not meeting the standards. So we still have some work to do in that area, but I feel like our PLCs overall are much improved. And we have them on Thursdays, and it's always a good day. Usually I leave on Thursday, and I'm like, oh, that was such good work that they did at those meetings. It makes me really excited. And when we have staff meetings, I always brag to the teachers how well they're doing with that, because they really are. And I like to see them step up to the plate. So that's a move in the right direction. At this time, Mrs. Coleman would like to share a little bit about our progress with PBIS.
Yes, during the 2014-2015 school year, one of my new responsibilities as assistant principal is to serve on the PBIS committee. After analyzing the data from this year so far and previous years, we have decided to refine some of our strategies that we're using and also implement some new strategies. We have two goals we're focusing on this school year. Our first goal is to reduce the number of bus referrals that we receive. And we do this by, at the beginning of the school year, we invite all of the bus drivers to a breakfast to discuss behavior expectations on the bus. We include all of our buses in our behavior blitz, which we have 3 times a year. And we just are now finishing a bus contest that we just had for a month, and any buses that did not have any referrals were entered into a drawing to win a prize. We also are continuing our bus buddy system to give assistance to students that still need help following bus procedures. Our second goal is to continue to communicate school-wide expectations with all stakeholders. PBIS information is listed in every weekly school-wide newsletter and teacher newsletter. Smart expectation posters are around our school to remind students of expected behavior in each area. And finally, we do have a school smart cheer that is played on the school news each morning. The PBIS committee will continue to work with students, staff, and parents to ensure the success of the program.
Okay, so as you can see, we do a lot of front loading to start the school year off and try to be as ready to go and as successful as possible. So when we get our data back from K-Prep, usually around October, our school report card for the 13-14 school year, when we analyzed that data and looked at it, we determined that we still need to focus on closing the gap, but specifically in the area of reading. So targeted instruction for our GAP students focuses on research-based interventions, and the ones that we use the most are Read 180, System 44, Reading Intervention, Read Naturally, Orton-Gillingham, Do the Math, Compass. Those are our primary programs. We have a few others, but those are the primary programs we place students in. And teachers work diligently, as I said, in their PLCs, but they work right alongside with the special education teacher. So the special education teacher is right there along with them, developing lessons, looking at resources, looking at assessments, student data. Again, our students do receive 30 minutes of math RTI instruction daily, 30 to 45 minutes of reading RTI instruction daily, and this is differentiated instruction. As an RTI administrative team, we create watch lists where we look at student performance, and we not only look at their achievement levels but growth, and then we progress monitor those students. And the RTI team looks at those weekly. We give feedback, comments, suggestions about program implementation and possible changes. Our special education meetings weekly are data-driven. Weekly, the teachers are expected to bring a certain set of data, and the whole team sits and analyzes that data, whether it's your student or not. We all sit and look at that specific set of data for that week. We feel like we have some strong things in place for our GAP students, but by far, as I said, reading is our biggest area of concern, and we continue to have focused, intentional reading groups for our students. We rely heavily on MAP, as I said, to look at growth and proficiency levels. Our ELA committee is working on creating a literacy model that's more specific, with more specific descriptors and pacing for our 90-minute core reading block each day. Our students do participate in 2 hours minimum of reading instruction per day, and yes, we still do get science and social studies in. I can assure you that takes place daily. But we as well align our data and triangulate it, and we look at it and see if our students are performing in the apprentice, novice, proficient, distinguished. That's really important to us to look at those percentiles and and see where we think they're falling at the 3 intervals of the year once we get that map data back and can start triangulating it with other sets of data. We use the Common Core Support Coach reading comprehension books to ensure that our GAP students have on grade level and K-Prep-like experiences, and we scaffold that instruction for them, but they need to be able to see the standards that they're held accountable for and work with those standards, maybe in a differentiated manner, but I need for them to be working towards those grade level standards as much as possible. We have weekly extended response questions that we implement, and we use ACE, and again, this is another acronym that I know we borrowed from another school. ACE is answer the question, cite your evidence, and then the E is the important part, the extend, where again, we bring in that writing, and they have to write to be able to prove their answer. So we believe that with all of those things in place, we hold our students to a very high standard. You can see we've made many, many improvements over the past year. We did not meet our program review goal, but we do believe that this year that will change. And we will not only meet it, but we will have a very good program review. Kindergarten readiness, we had an anomaly, I think, an outlier the year before. Usually it's about, if you look historically, 50% of our kids are at kindergarten readiness. K-Prep combined proficiency, we did meet that goal. Achievement gap, we did not meet that goal. And third grade proficiency, we did not meet. So that's why we're targeting our gap area so highly. And wellness, we have a very good, solid wellness policy and program in place at Kenton Elementary. So thank you so much for your time today and this opportunity. Please come out and visit us anytime. We love to have visitors and show off what we're doing at Kenton Elementary.
It's good to see everyone here. My name is Tony Procchino. I'm the principal at White's Tower, the new principal at White's Tower. I'm just excited, and I love being here. I appreciate the opportunity to be the principal at White's Tower. What a great school. Great kids, good teachers, and just all-around great community. We're going to start off with introduce you, Miss Cobb. Michelle Cobb is the assistant principal. This is her 3rd year there. She's going to start off with some of the stuff from last year because she was knee-deep in the trenches at that time. So, Ms. Cobb, please.
So last year, first of all, I just have to say our staff worked so hard. You know, this time last year we were not in a very good place. It was hard. Our teachers had worked so hard, and to see them deflated, feeling kind of really down. So last year was really hard. They worked really hard. So it was nice to see the K-Prep scores reflect some of that hard work. Our K-Prep scores, when you looked at those, we improved with achievement, growth, and overall score. So overall, we moved from the 36th percentile to the 56th percentile. So definitely we're not where we want to be, but we're moving in the right direction. When you look at our math, with math last year, we knew that that was an area of concern when we got our test scores back last year. And last year with math, we had not put in place an RTI program for math yet. So we worked really hard last year to get an RTI schedule that would allow us to have 30 minutes of RTI time for our students, as well as an additional 30 minutes of reading RTI time. So our students were able to get the math interventions they needed last year. In addition to the math RTI block, we also focused on number talks. We implemented number talks, and we really focused on math fluency and just really teaching to the standards. So with that being said, our math scores did increase from 52.7 to 58.1. So we were happy with that growth, again, knowing that we still have a ways to go to get where we want to be. With science, our teachers collaborated regularly when it came to science as far as for their lessons. And I really feel like the LDCs played a huge role in our science scores. I think the LDCs that were implemented last year at the 4th grade and the connections that they made just across the board for our students really impacted student understanding. And also partnered with the SINSAM, with our teachers participating in SINSAM. So when you looked at our science scores, we had substantial gains in science, but when you look at the distinguished, our number of distinguished increased dramatically, and our bonus points increased by 21.9 points in science. So we went from 6.3 bonus points to 28.2 bonus points in science last year. And that was, we increased our proficient and distinguished from 58.2 to 62.3 in proficient and distinguished last year with science. So definitely we're happy with our science gains. With reading, we already had an RTI program in place with reading. But we really felt like, as we looked at that schedule last year, we really wanted to intensify that reading RTI program and to just kind of firm that up. So we focused last year about protecting the reading core so that we were not pulling students from the reading core to provide them intervention. We wanted to make sure that they were receiving their full reading core in addition to their intervention time. We also made sure that with reading that, again, we were teaching to the standards, and for the first time we implemented System 44 about midway through the year for our third grade students. And again, our reading scores increased from 58.9 to 62.6. So as I said, while we made some growth, we know that there's still room to grow, and we have a lot of things that we're working on this year. Mr. Procaccino has brought a lot of wonderful ideas, and we're really excited about moving to that next step. And so he's going to talk a little bit about our next steps.
Great, thank you, Ms. Cobb. Okay, so I got started in August. I was hired in August, and I thought, I'm not one to sit on my hands. I got in there, got deep with Ms. Cobb, with all the special ed teachers, everybody, find out what's going on, what do we need to make progress in. A couple of things we emphasize is RTI groups, the response to intervention groups. As Ms. Cobb mentioned before, in third grade, they didn't start till later on the year last year. Unacceptable. We got to start right off the bat. We have the data that's available. First of all, thank you for getting MAP. MAP gives us great data. It gives us specific deficiency areas for every student. We're able to group those students. I sat down with the special ed teachers. We looked at our MAP data for every kid. We looked at our SRI data for every kid. We started intervention groups on August the 25th of this year. That's pretty exciting. So we're already targeting those gap students, which I know you know is the area of biggest growth for us that we're looking at right now. The master schedule design. The master schedule design, we built in back-to-back math core with math RTI time and reading with our reading RTI time. So the kids are getting that true 90 minutes of instruction in those specific Common Core areas. Program review emphasis. Program review is one of those things that we can't control. We can't leave any points on the table. That is something, that's 23% of our state score that we have got to, as a full staff, embrace and get. We got to get that. We've created a great special schedule. We have 4 specials, and we have sometimes three grade levels for those. We have a 45-minute block in for our specials teachers to work on program review. On Friday, we have an extra block of time where we're emphasizing things like dance, drama, world language, arts and humanities. So it's outstanding. Staff meetings and program review schedule. We have specific instructional staff meetings that I do. The students I see at White's Tower, I have a saying that their complacency doesn't equal learning. They can sit and listen, but we got to increase the rigor, we got to increase the student engagement, we got to increase the teacher instruction. Some of the things that I do with that is during staff meetings, we specifically do instructional strategies. During PLC meetings, specific instructional strategies, as well as our Bearcat Bulletin every Monday has a Bearcat instructional strategy of the week, which the teachers are doing a great job with incorporating those things. Beginning of the year attendance, we had Mr. Henders and Ms. Fortney, our FRC, they identified some of our top attendance students. Saying it nicely. So we made home visits. They were doing home visits. They identified those kids. They were going, trying to get them in the building. We've seen a good attendance this year so far. High expectations and teacher accountability. This is something that I heard one of the other principals talking about. When we have our PLCs after we do our common learning assessments, the teachers are now running into my office showing me their data analysis tool, and they are going at it with each other. And that's great. They recognize that we are holding them accountable for their student success. One of the things, and I'm sprinkling things this year because I don't want to overwhelm anybody as my first year, but I'm sprinkling things, and they call it Mr. P's plan. But they bought in, and I think everybody here who's been out there to White's Tower, they see Mr. P's plan. The teachers don't know it, but they're buying it. We have something called the 3C, the Common Core checks. Every Friday, we are doing either a district common assessment, which are very well developed, I think, by Ms. Dorothy and Ms. Emily, or they're doing a 3C. 3C stands for Common Core check. When we do those, they are assessing the kids over the over the curriculum that they've taught for that week or 2 weeks on that Friday to ensure student learning. After they do that, they report to me the biggest deficiencies in that Common Core standard. They have to have a plan, whether it be flashbacks, morning work, or incorporate it into their next lessons for the next week to address those deficiencies that they notice as a pattern from the class as their students. That's That's some of the stuff we just started in August, guys. And I know it's a lot, but it's great. It's great. I'm looking at number 3 here. I apologize if I'm talking fast. This is my first time doing this. And I'm Italian, so my hands are always moving, so I apologize about that. Looking at our school report card, 2013-2019 reading data shows overall 51.5% of students were novice and apprentice. You're telling me that 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, half of those kids are novice and apprentice. That's unacceptable. There's no way that should happen. So here's what we've got. Our response to intervention meetings. We meet every 6 weeks. We take a 3-hour chunk out of the day with each grade level. I facilitate these. Ms. Cobcom is there. All of our interventionists, all of our special ed teachers for those, all our RTA teacher. And what we do, we sit down and analyze data on every single individual student. Every single individual student. We identify their deficiencies, and then we take it to the next step and identify what is the most bang for your buck resource, whether it be Ms. Huss talked about System 44, Read 180, Read Naturally, Compass Odyssey. We group those students, we have them with a specific teacher, and we're targeting those specific deficiencies in that group. One of the greatest things I think response intervention gives us is not only identifying those kids that need that extra help, we've also started accelerated block. We've got numerous students who are now in what we call an accelerated block. So when that RTI time happens, for example, in 2nd grade, that teacher is now sitting with students who are at grade level. There's about 6 to 10 students in there. What a great number to push those kids to that next proficient level. Our accelerated kids are out working either with Compass Odyssey or in another small group. What a great way to, they're proficient, they're distinguished. We got to keep pushing. We got to get that growth from them. Now those other kids who have those or below grade level who have those same deficiencies are getting that small group instruction right at their level, pushing them. Going to the writing data, 74.4 students scored novice or apprentice, and that's our 5th grade. That's 5th grade on-demand writing. So guess what? It's beginning October, first week in October, every Friday. We started from 1st grade to 5th grade. October, on-demand mini lessons. Our 5th grade teachers are so much further along right now with on-demand writing. I'm a very intentional person. Like I said, Mr. P's plan. It's very intentional, it's specific, and it is data. It's a timeline, which the teachers are buying in, and they're running with it. I'm providing them the resources and coaching, and it's translated into the classroom. It's just great stuff going on right now. So again, we're progressing. We're making progress in that writing. And we're attacking it. Some of the things I heard Ms. Huss say also, we are sprinkling in slowly, but we're doing our short answer attack plan with our RAD, our restate, answer, detail. I think she said it was ACE for her. For math, we're sprinkling in SET. Same thing, actually, we stole from Kenton Elementary, one of the teachers, is show, explain, tell. So my intentions are to build these students up to when we are in May, we are ready, we are prepared, and we will be successful. Math, again, I talked about math right there. One of the things I know Ms. Owens helps me, Ms. Owens told me puts in there, my PLCs. I have a very specific and outlined PLCs. On Fridays, when they take those common assessments, the first thing we talk about is that data analysis sheet and how are they going to do, what are they going to do next week to ensure students learn all those Common Core standards. Some of the specific things, we do MAP and K-Prep goal setting. We are about ready to start our MAP testing December 1. We have a new theme this year. It's White's Tower Swag, and that's students with a goal. So we are setting that tone right now. Our 5th grade teachers have gone away from they get an A, they get a B, they get a C, they get a D. 2 weeks ago, they started this. One of their higher level kids got a D on his paper. He was freaked out. She said, no, that's distinguished. We're already setting the distinguished and proficiency terminology in our ability and as our expectation. Real quick, I'm going to run into the CSIP goals. Wow, what a great job our summer program did. The kindergartners, their goal was 47% on the Brigance. They got 60% on the Brigance. That's incredible. And that a lot has to do with Ms. Cobb this past summer. She was there, again, boots in the trenches. They were doing the, I guess you called
Me and My School.
Me and My School, that's right. So she was there doing the trenches this summer. It paid off. And the kindergarten teachers are just taking those kids to a new level. And you'll like this. We have 6 kindergartners right now in an accelerated program reading 1st grade books. So we're pretty excited about that. Goal 3, there was a program review. They wanted 8 points. Arts and Humanities got 7.2, PLCS got 7.7. I am ensuring to you that we will get those points this year. We have some awesome program review stuff going on, and we have submission dates. We have timelines turned in. We have checklists, and all those program review leads have time built in their schedule to do this, to go over it. We meet as a group. Ms. Brown has come out. I've talked to her about my ideas. I'm not going to say anything bad, but she says our schedule is great for program review. Don't steal it, please. But no. We just have, like I said, it's very intentional. It's very, very intentional, the areas and specific things that we are putting in place. The achievement gap. The first one in reading with students with disabilities, they were at 6.1, wanted to get 31.4. They ended up with 34.7 proficient distinguished. That was good. And that was students with disabilities with IP. Math did not meet their goal. Again, we were having that same conversation in RTI with reading. We're having that same conversation with RTI in math. K-Prep combined proficiency, the goal was 53.9. It was 44.4. We're going to raise that up. Third grade proficiency for third grade did not meet their goals. Again, I'm not going. You guys have all this in front of you. I'm not going to say didn't meet it, because I'm not about that. That was last year. We're not doing that. We're going to be progressive. We're going to be intentional. We're going to be specific, and we're going to be successful. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the opportunity to be at White Tower. What a great little school. I love it.
I'm Christy Jeffers, the principal at Pioneer Elementary, and this is my new assistant principal, Kelly Smith.
Hi.
Kelly's joining us from North Point Elementary in Boone County, where she taught school, and this is her first administrative experience, and she's off to a great start. She's doing a really good job.
Thank you.
So glad to have her. Well, thank you all. Thank you all for making the time to see us today, our esteemed board members and Dr. Cox-Crewy. Really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us and hear about what we're doing in our schools. We're really excited about it. I'll start by sharing some points of pride, things that we're really excited about with Pioneer Elementary. Last year when I met with you, I was describing to you how we weren't pleased with our writing scores. They had dropped down, and we really felt the need to do something about that. So last year we instituted some principals prompts, monthly on-demand writing, some trainings for the teachers, extra writing expected across the board, and we really saw the results from that. So our scores for our writing increased quite a bit, and we're so excited about that. We're also excited about our achieving proficient school rating again. This is our third year in a row of being proficient school, and we were happy to get the progressing rating after that. So that was very validating for us. We did meet our AMO goal. It was 69.6, and we scored a 70.3, so we did meet that, and we were in the 73rd percentile. Our program review was another area that we worked really, really hard on last year. The year before, the previous year, we had scored a needs improvement across the board for our program review. And we knew, like Mr. Procaccino just said, that is something we have control over. So we put a lot of things into place last year. We had, each grade level had evidence collection captains, and they had a chair for each program review, and those people worked directly to make sure we collected the evidence. We instituted some new collection procedures. We were using the SharePoint to share our evidence. We had some sheets to guide the teachers, and we just had a much more systematic approach to collecting evidence. And so we were able to achieve all of our points for our program review. So we went from 17.25 up to 23 points, and so that was very exciting for us. And it just kind of showed us once again that if you put something, you put your eyes on something, you really focus on it, focus your efforts, you can achieve it. So that was great for us. We were also happy with our achievement. Our achievement for reading increased. We went from a 70.8 to a 76.4 for our overall reading achievement. And in our math, we went up from 71.1 to 72.8. So just our overall scores for reading and math did go up. We really feel that in order for us to do that, we needed a lot of good tools to kind of analyze how the kids are doing, where they are, where they need to go, and looking at some long-term trends. And that map data has been so helpful to us to do that. It's a wonderful tool. So we appreciate that very much, that the board has been able to provide us the map, and that the more we use it, the more we're learning about what it can do. The longer we use it, we can look at that long-term longitudinal data, and we just keep learning new ways to look at it and help to analyze our school programs and looking at things over time. So that really helps us give us a good snapshot of how we're doing as a school overall over time. For this year, we started some new things because we were happy with our writing and the increase in that, but through the process, my teachers kept saying, Miss Jeffers, we really need a program. We need something to follow. And writing is something that we all do. Not often have we all had really good training on how to teach writing, so it's a tough thing for teachers. And one of the things that we wanted to do was have a consistent approach throughout the school from kindergarten through 5th grade. So we were able to use our title money to purchase the Right Steps writing program, and we started using that this year, right at the beginning of the year. And the teachers really love it. We started in grade 1. We're using some of the concepts in grade K, but with that half-day schedule, they're having a hard time fitting everything in. So they weren't ready yet to implement that program, so we're going to hold off on the kindergarten, but starting in grade 1, they're using the Right Steps all the way through 5th grade. The teachers love the structure. They love the guidance that comes with the lesson plans. The kids love it because it makes sense to them, and so I can really see that this is going to help us build a sustainable writing culture in our school. We use the MAP scores at every grade level. So every time we get new MAP scores, we analyze them, and we use them in so many ways. We do start the year breaking our children into RIT band groups using our MAP data from the previous spring. And so that is so helpful. We do get some new children that come into our school that we haven't tested yet. But if they've come from a school using MAP, their MAP data comes with them. So we can look at RIT band instruction so that we can differentiate our instruction across the board for reading and math. We also look at, do we need to have special interventions for students? So our RIT band, our scores that we get from our MAP help us to determine which students are our neediest students and are most at risk, and we can do further assessment with them to get into our special programs like the Read 180, System 44, or do the math. So we've just been able to use those scores in a myriad of ways that have been very, very helpful to us. We have other testing assessment pieces that we use, so it allows us to triangulate some data. So we've got our MAP scores, our DIBELS scores, our SRI scores. We started doing the KCM Math Fluency program this year with the Kentucky Center for Math. So that's given us another piece that we can help our students with in math. A lot of times our students in math seem like they're good, strong math students, then we give them some of these assessments that really get to their core understanding of number sense and number knowledge, and we find that there are some gaps, and so that allows us to go back and provide interventions even for our students that we think are on grade level or are successful. Sometimes they have gaps that can impede their learning, so we go back and work on those. Our staff and student morale is something we're really approaching this year. We've been working really hard. Our teachers are doing phenomenal things every day in the classroom, and I'm so, so proud of them. But I think we've been working really, really hard, and along the way, I think we lost a little fun. So this year, we're going to put a little more fun back into school. We've formed a new Pioneer Pep Squad, and that's our teacher group and staff group that we're planning events. So we're planning recognition events for students and staff, and sometimes just fun days. Tomorrow's Duck Dynasty Day. I can't wait to wear my beard to school. But, so just to have fun, to get the kids to want to come to school because they never know what exciting thing's going to happen. Well, we'll all be nice and warm. So we're working on that. We're also highlighting what we're doing in the various classrooms. I often tell the teachers, I feel so lucky to be a principal because I get to walk into all of your classrooms. I get to see the great things that you're doing. You don't get to go out and see it as much as I do. So what we're doing is focusing on that excellence is everywhere theme. And when I see some great things going on in the classrooms, I say, oh, would you share that in our next staff meeting and come and show the other teachers what you're doing? So we try to do that from all the different grade levels so everybody gets a chance to share what they're doing and share some strategies that are very effective. And even if they're first grade and the other teachers seeing them might be fifth grade teachers, they can often take those same concepts and use those in their classrooms. So sharing is a big deal for us. One of our concerns this year, I was happy with achievement. Our gaps stayed about the same. You know, we're still focusing on those students with disabilities and our free and reduced lunch population. You know, one child at a time. We're looking at each kid. What does that child need to move forward and be successful? But our growth fell last year, so that was really disappointing to us. We'd had 2 years of growth the growth fell in last year. So we're really trying to figure out what do we need to do to make sure that all of our students are growing. Because it's not just our students that struggle, it's also our higher end students. We want to push them up. We want to make sure everybody's moving forward and doing great things. So some of the things that we're doing are trying to have those authentic K-Prep like testing sessions. Our teachers use timers when they give the test so that kids get used to them throughout the year. So it's not a shock when they take the K-Prep at the end of the year. We let them take their work that they've done on common assessments and other assessments and go back after it's been scored and improve their work till they get it to a 4, till they get it to a distinguished. So then they know what it looks like. Now the one thing we're trying to work on though is we think we might be developing a culture where they think they have mulligans and can go back and do over. So we're going to start kind of weaning them from that after we get back from the winter break and start working on doing it right the first time, because when you take the K-Prep you don't get to go back and fix your work. So now we feel like they should have a good picture of what it takes to get that distinguished, and we want to see them do that right the first time. Ms. Smith and I are both meeting with all of our 4th and 5th grade students and going over their individual K-Prep scores with them. So it's taken us a while because we're sitting down with each student and reviewing it with them. And I think for a lot of the kids, when they see where their cut score is, when they see how close they might have come to making it to the next level, our goal is that we want to encourage them and motivate them to just put in a little extra effort, because if you had just given a few more details in your answer, you could have got there. So we're going to work on that with them so that they understand how important their effort is. And then maybe that'll also show us the growth, because they'll be working and getting themselves to above the 40th percentile. Our 4th and 5th grade teachers are doing something really cool this year. We found that our 4th and 5th grade students in math needed some specific RTI. And our numbers always fluctuate at Pioneer, so what we have is a situation where we had a really large 5th grade classes, but rather small 4th grade classes. So the teachers are doing kind of a what I need model for RTI. They're setting up the RIT bands, and the students that fall into the RIT band go to that room regardless of if they're a 4th or a 5th grade student. So for that 30 minutes a day, they're focusing on what they need. It might be that they need the enrichment. It might be that they need some interventions to help improve, but they get to go where they need to go. Doesn't matter what grade they're in, and so we've had a lot of success with that so far. We've only been doing it for a couple of weeks, but the teachers have worked really hard on the procedures of rotating and moving from class to class, so it's very orderly, and we're not losing instructional time. One of the things in our CSIP goals that I really mentioned and I really want to work on is that achievement gap. What we've noticed is that some of our students are doing really, really well in the intervention programs, such as the Read 180. They're making great gains, but we don't see that same success translated onto the K-Prep. So we're working closely with our RTI team. We meet every week and we review their scores and we look at their student progress, and we're really digging into the reports that we get from the Read 180 and System 44. And we're looking at how do we push those kids, how do we get them to a higher level of rigor so that they're encountering passages that are going to be more similar to what they're going to see on the K-Prep. I think they have a little bit of a shock when they go from reading intervention materials to reading the high-level, long passages, and we want to get them to bridge that gap from the intervention program into success on the K-Prep test. So at this time, I would just like to thank you all so much for your support. You are all welcome to come visit Pioneer at any time. We enjoyed having Dr. Cox-Crewy out. My teachers really enjoyed having a chance to visit with her.